We already know that when we're building a spreadsheet, we carry out an expression and operation with data that I have in a table, for example, in this case. And we know that this expression that makes reference to the cells to the left, in this particular case, by default they are relative references. I am going to be able to copy this expression to the rest of the spreadsheet, to the rest of the cell range that interests me. I'll be able to copy them without any problem, each one making reference to the corresponding data. That is, that when we copy expressions, we copy cells containing expressions to elsewhere in the spreadsheet. It will follow the rules of absolute, relative, and mixed references as defined in Excel. Yet this is totally unlike what happens if I move the cells. If what I do is move the cells, I can always, for example, take all these cells and I can move this range, which are, if we recall, expressions from B5 to C5. I move them and these expressions change conveniently in such a way that they remain, in this case, B5 to C5. Even though I have moved them. The difference is that when I copied it down, it considered that it was a relative reference, and so all of the expressions were changed each time. However, upon moving them, I will always conserve the references absolutely to the cells they make reference to, independently of whether they are treated by default as relative references. This is the case so that I can build, I am able to move, able to insert columns here and put other additional data. But the definition of savings will always be the difference between income and consumption. This will happen even if I move this data range to a lower position. Even in this case, it is going to respect the agreement that the first data will always be the difference between the area of consumption of the first data I have for the year 80. Logically, this will not normally be the case in this way in a table like the one I have in which the data are entered, but it could be interesting to start a new table, for example, in a position far from this spreadsheet or in another worksheet, etc. And so we need to know the different treatments of references, of when it is a case of copying a cell or range or when we move a cell or range.